I still got pictures of Josh in that little buggy.
Little egg car.
You remember that little buggy?
I do remember that.
There's still pictures in that album, my chum. You riding in that little.
And I think the cutest one is when Josh was gotten out and the picture's just you towing that little car down the road with nobody in it.
Yeah. Them was some good years, wasn't it, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
Good memories. That's one gift of God that death does not destroy. That is great. You could. He put something up there that you'd really work with if you got good memories. And I can lay down at night and lay down in bed and not just shut my eyes, and a lot of these pictures will come back. There's only one thing bothers me. In my dreams, I'm always trying to get to work and I'm running late. And I never was late but 2 times in my life. Work-wise. But something is always keeping me from getting to work on time. A lot of things.
Well, what about the incident with Johnny and Robert and the matches when we lived on Dowry? When we lived on Dowry, when Johnny and Robert had the matches. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. But I don't remember the exact details of it. I remember the time Robert.
They go burn houses down?
No, yeah, they were going to go burn the house down. But Robert had a pocket full of firecrackers.
Oh, God, yeah.
And a pocket full of matches. And he was running down the road and fell down on a gravel road. And it ignited the matches in his pocket, and he had a pocket full of firecrackers. Man, he had a burnt spot on his leg for a long time.
And the pants were gone from the top of the pocket down to almost to the knee. The whole blue jeans, Levi's, were gone.
Them firecrackers exploded in his pocket. But those were the times.
And why do you not go hunting with Robert?
Robert was too. He was concentrating on something. He couldn't concentrate and hear you about anything else. And him and Johnny had got a little 410 gun for Christmas, and I was teaching them to hunt. And this rabbit was running straight down the road to me, and he was way down there. And he threw that gun up, and I said, "Boy, don't shoot towards nobody." Bam! And I had fell backwards to try to get out of his way, and then shot one across my stomach. You know, they didn't even put a hole in my shirt, but the skin on my stomach was split. And man, blood all over my shirt, but they didn't penetrate inside my stomach. You know, he never would go hunting with me no more. If he went hunting, he went by himself.
Yeah, Johnny was in front. He dove in the ditch because he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, one day I had a little dog, my favorite little beagle, and Johnny and a friend of his, which was one of my nephews,
William,
went hunting. And Johnny come back to the house and said, "Daddy, I hate to tell you, but said, I accidentally shot your dog and killed it." And I asked him which one, and he told me. And I said, "No, you didn't shoot my dog." "Oh yeah, I accidentally, I thought it was a rabbit coming through the bush." I said, "Johnny, I taught you to hunt, and I know you didn't shoot that dog." I found out later, Johnny was covering for William, my nephew. He thought it was a rabbit, and he shot the dog and killed it. But I knew Johnny hadn't done it.
Johnny would take the blame for a lot of stuff.
He would take the blame to keep somebody else out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it, but when his daughter got killed, I was in Monroe, Louisiana with your mom. And they say that when they was lowering her casket. He took his suit coat off and laid it over the casket. And his remark was, she might get cold.
That was it.
That was his remark when they were burying his daughter.
Josh and I were there.
Huh?
Josh and I were there.
I was there too.
He was a pallbearer at her funeral.
I couldn't go because I was in Monroe with Ruby. She was in rehab over there.
Yeah.
At one time, you know, as she come home, she couldn't talk,
Yeah.
but she could hear.
Mm-hmm.
And she would do funny things. When the buzzer went off on the dryer, she was in a wheelchair and didn't have to use her one arm. She'd beat me to that dryer in that wheelchair, and she could take them clothes out, hang them on a hanger, and hang them on a rack up here better than I could, and she was only using one hand.
Oh, she could.
She'd hang them clothes up there. And one day, for some reason, I went out the back door and was doing something out on the carport. As I thought, we had that carport there. And I heard a noise, and she was laughing. She had got that door open, got that wheelchair, and got her a start. And she went down that little ramp, come flying out across that carport, just laughing up a fog. It tickled her that she could do that.
That's so sweet.
I remember I used to mess with her and I would lock her, one of her wheels.
Right, yeah, on the wheelchair.
And she'd go and check her finger and heel, and she'd unlock that wheel.
One time we was coming back from reunion up in Philadelphia, and I had that Lincoln, and Josh was driving. And she looked over at that speedometer, and he was doing 65 in a 55-mile zone, and she started doing him this one. You remember that? Over there, this between Belzona and Lexington, up through there, right on that Porcelain Road, and she was shaking her finger at him because he was speeding.
She was paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd start to Hollandale when we used to go over there and eat lunch over there.
Uh-huh.
And she would get bored, you know, because she couldn't talk, couldn't walk. She gained in weight because she couldn't get around, you know. And I'd tell her, I said, what you do to entertain yourself, you just count the cars. Every time you pass a car, fold a finger down. And she'd do that till we got to Hollandale, and then she'd hit her hand and open back up, and she'd start over again. She'd count the cars that we met on the road over there. Just something to entertain her. It was done her good.
Mm-hmm. I remember she, back before she had the stroke, she used to sit down and you had 2 TVs set up in the living room. Mm-hmm. One just for Tetris.
I remember me and Josh going over to Holland barbecue grill back from over to Hollandale one time, and we was going down the road just a talking, you know, and look back, the garbage can top was gone. We had to get out and he had to hunt that garbage can top back down the highway. We found it. It wasn't a garbage can top, it was a grill top. It flew off.
I still remember the time that he had to walk home and get you to go get him and pull him out of the road.
Yeah, out of the middle of the road.
When you high-centered that little Toyota on the ruts, with the wheels hanging in the air.
The car was sitting there and the wheels were spinning, but they wasn't on the ground. And I backed my truck down in there as far as I could and had that long chain and pulled him out. And then the old car do this, try to drop that mud out of under it. And one day he called me. He said, my truck won't run. He said, the motor run good, but it won't go nowhere. He'd used the phone, I guess, there at that little store in the corner up there at the
Faird?
No, it wasn't Faird, there's one up above.
Okay.
Where you turn there and come down that road. I went up there and parked my truck, got out there and looked, and the drive shaft was laying on the gun. You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, Universal went out.
Yeah, the universal joint come loose and dropped down and it just slid off. We picked the universal joint up, put it over in the back, and I hooked to it and pulled into the house. I think you wound up putting that universal joint in.
Yep. with a shop hammer and all right there in the bed of the truck. I remember doing that in the front yard.
Thank God for Daddy
Yeah.
and Pawpaw.
And one day, I was over at Lewis's and we was going to the house or something, there's snow on the ground, and he was behind me, and I got the house and looked back, I couldn't see him. He'd gone. He disappeared. And I got back in my truck and took off back down the road, and he was sitting out in the field out there. He done hit a pile of snow and spun that little, what was it?
Little Nissan pickup.
Yeah, a little pickup.
A little
And he was
Nissan.
sitting down in the field and that pickup.
It had started spinning, and you know you got that 8 or 10 foot ditch on the left, and it was taking. And I just made sure I went right, and I went out on the edge of the field on the right. I was working, and they had called and tell me not to come to work, but they didn't tell me that. They just told you to get me to call them. If they told you that, I never would have left the house. Because everything was iced over. We lived over by the Cochrans.
I remember that.
Yeah, me and you have cut that grass a few times, didn't we?
Oh,
Yeah.
He'd come over the house and ride that lawnmower back.
All the way over
I
there.
remember that.
All right.
I have a glass of tea in my hand as I rode the lawnmower down the road. Probably looked like George Jones right before the cops came.
We got on his lawnmower and went to the whiskey store. And
Yeah.
then took his license. He couldn't drive.
She forgot about my old John Deere. Oh,
Them was the time.
yeah.